Daniel Davidson's boots scraped against the cracked pavement of Nexus Prime's lower district, the sound swallowed almost instantly by the hum of generators, distant engines, and 1,000 alien voices bleeding into one endless noise. The city never slept. It only shifted moods, bright and violent in the upper levels, dark and forgotten down here. Neon signs flickered above him, washing his scarred face in alternating shades of purple and red. The light carved deep shadows into the permanent lines around his eyes. Souvenirs from 15 years in Terran special operations. Years that felt like another lifetime now. Just another night in paradise, Dan muttered. Rain drizzled steadily, soaking through his weathered jacket as if the city itself was trying to wash him away. He pulled it tighter around himself and kept walking, head down, shoulders hunched, the posture of a man who didn't want to be noticed. 3 years. 3 years since Centauri. 3 years since his squad died screaming over an open channel, while politicians back on Earth called it acceptable collateral damage. Dan exhaled slowly, forcing the memories down where they belonged. He'd learned how to survive by not thinking, by taking small security jobs that paid in untraceable credits, jobs that needed someone who could fight, disappear, and never ask questions. That was his life now, a ghost drifting through an alien megacity. He cut through a narrow passageway between 2 towering structures, rusted metal and ancient stone pressing in on both sides. The distant thrum of Nexus Prime's entertainment district faded behind him, replaced by an unsettling quiet. These were the city's forgotten veins, places even criminals avoided unless they had a reason. Dan didn't like that. His instincts, sharpened by countless combat drops, flared without warning. He stopped. A sound cut through the rain. Not laughter, not shouting, a muffled whimper. Dan's hand moved automatically toward the illegal pulse pistol hidden beneath his jacket. He didn't draw it yet. He just listened. Another sound, panicked small. A child. Dan turned slowly and peered down a cramped alley to his right. 6 massive figures loomed in the shadows, their scaled bodies blocking most of the light. Draconians. Big ones. Street muscle. They had something cornered against the wall. A flash of torn pink fabric. A terrified sob. That was all Dan needed to see. "Hey," he called out. His voice carried without effort, calm, controlled, dangerous. The kind of voice that once commanded elite soldiers into hell. The Draconians turned as one, reptilian faces twisting into sneers. "Why don't you pick on someone your own size?" Dan said. For a moment, no one moved. Then the largest Draconian stepped forward, his yellow eyes narrowing. "Human," the creature hissed, baring rows of sharp teeth. "This isn't your business. The girl belongs to Boss Crag." Dan's jaw tightened. Child trafficking was rampant in Nexus Prime's underbelly. He'd seen it, walked away from it more times than he cared to remember, every time telling himself it wasn't his fight anymore. Not tonight. "She's leaving with me," Dan said, stepping forward. "You can walk away, or you can bleed. Your choice." The Draconians exchanged glances and laughed. The sound was harsh and ugly, echoing off the alley walls. The leader drew a serrated blade, its edge catching the neon glow. Humans always think they're the toughest species in the galaxy. Dan didn't answer. The first Draconian lunged. Dan moved. He sidestepped with practiced ease, driving an elbow into the creature's throat. The Draconian collapsed, choking, as Dan flowed into the next movement. The others attacked together, claws and blades flashing. Dan fought with cold efficiency. No wasted motion, no hesitation. He redirected momentum, struck joints, used the narrow space to his advantage. One attacker went down hard after hitting the wall. Another stumbled back, clutching a useless arm. Pain flared as claws tore across Dan's back. He grunted but didn't slow. Adrenaline drowned out everything except survival. The girl screamed. Dan spun, placing himself between her and the remaining attackers. "Run," he said without looking back. Now. She didn't move. Frozen. Terrified. The Draconians rushed him again. Dan blocked one strike, but another slipped through. Pain exploded in his side, sharp and deep. His breath hitched, vision blurring for half a second. He roared, not in pain, but in rage. He grabbed the attacker, forcing him back, and drove forward with everything he had left. The fight ended seconds later in the rain-soaked alley, the surviving Draconian fleeing into the darkness. Silence fell. Dan stood there, breathing hard, rain mixing with blood as it ran down his jacket. He turned slowly. The girl stared at him with wide, luminous eyes. Her skin was a soft shade of blue, her silver hair matted with grime. She couldn't have been more than 10 by human standards. "It's okay," Dan said, forcing his voice to soften. "I won't hurt you." He took one step toward her. His legs buckled. Dan dropped to one knee, then caught himself against the wall. Only then did he look down and really feel it. Multiple wounds. Too many. The adrenaline was already fading. "That's not good," he muttered. The girl approached cautiously, as if afraid he might disappear. She reached out and gently touched his arm. "Thank you," she whispered. Her English was perfect. Musical. Strange. Dan tried to answer, but the world tilted. His vision blurred, darkness creeping in at the edges. As he fell backward, the last thing he saw was the girl's worried face, and the strange pendant at her neck. It pulsed softly. Blue light. Then nothing. Dan's eyes snapped open. He reached for a weapon that wasn't there and immediately groaned as pain flared through his body. What the hell? He was in his apartment. His bed. His ceiling. The familiar hum of faulty lighting. He looked down. Clean bandages. Advanced medical patches glowing faintly blue beneath the fabric. Aurorian tech. Expensive. Impossible. Dan pushed himself up slowly. Heart pounding. How did I get here? No answer. Only questions. And somewhere in the back of his mind, the image of a blue-skinned girl and a glowing pendant refused to fade.